Hi, I'm Larry Halstead, and I'm sitting here with Dr. Allan Millet, and it's my privilege to introduce him. We just concluded an interview with your father here, and whether or not these interviews end up linked together or whatever, the point is that we wanted to talk with you because you're a chiropractor by trade. You had a pretty much an entire life as a chiropractor.
Correct.
And then your dad, meanwhile, while you're out being a chiropractor, was formulating products for chiropractors and medical doctors, naturopaths, osteopaths, whatever. And anyway, so you come along after 30 years of your father doing Professional Botanicals, Chuck Millet, and you have decided to not only take over, but you have gone some new directions here, and I want you to talk about that. But really, we're here talking about all this. We're sitting in World Life Research Institute talking about this because all of this kind of ties in with the research that my father, Dr. Bruce Halstead, and World Life Research were doing here for over 50 years. So let me throw it to you, and you're there doing your chiropractic thinking, man, I've been doing this long enough and life's been good and maybe I ought to go retire and go fishing with my dad, and then something kind of interrupted that.
That's totally true. My wife and I had made a decision.
Your wife, Lisa?
Yes, my wife, Lisa. And we had made a decision, quite frankly. We had a buyer for our practice, and we at that point were ready to actually sell it off. We had purchased our little motorhome and we were on our way up to Alaska. And I grew up there. I had the opportunity growing up, my original years in life, so to speak. And we wanted to go up and just spend some time. And we were at that point. We were very financially set. Everything was perfect. And my father approached me and he says, well, I've got a buyer for the company. And I knew the guy that he was going to purchase the company from. And I'm going, really? Man, you can't do that. Well, do you want to step up to the plate? And I said, look, no, I don't want to. I'm on my way to Alaska. So we talked about it overnight, and I repented, so to speak, changed my mind. And I sat down with my father the next day, and I said, it's important to understand that this is a big decision for me, big decision for my wife, and we definitely are willing to step in for Professional Botanicals. So we took it over. We basically, at that point, it was ran in a certain way, and obviously it needed kind of a little bit of an upgrade. I will say that I'm a little younger than my father. Upgrade in maybe the print or the font or something like that. So we spent the first 2 or 3 years really kind of going through a repackaging, just the exterior, because obviously your father, my father, and the dream team of nutrition. I mean, how can you change perfection? I mean, that was my whole thing. I looked at it and says, this is the way it's supposed to be. And I did not really know what it was that we were getting into. I did not really understand the power behind every one of the ingredients. I didn't understand the power of the formulations. I didn't understand all the research and everything. I had met your father. I had the opportunity while I was going through school here in L.A., and I would go home for breaks. I would sit down and kind of ease in or eavesdrop on this dream team sitting around, the table at my father's house. And some of the conventions I would go to, and I would, he would put me on the platform and say, hey, my father would put me on the platform and say, why don't you talk about this specific thing, or, give a little bit of time on this. And I was very thankful for that. But I had the opportunity to really meet your father.
You went to Cleveland Chiropractic.
I did.
And you graduated what year?
1986, early of 1986.
Okay, so the company was, by that point, it was already getting to be about 6 years old.
Right.
And Cleveland is right down the way here, Los Angeles area.
Correct.
So, you were right there.
I was right there, right smack in the middle of it. So as I graduated, I put all my effort, all my energy into chiropractic, into what I had, studied for. And slowly, there was times in the practice where we did no nutrition. There's other times where we just totally dove in. But I can tell you, slowly I became aware of the power of nutrition and specifically the power of the products that my father had put together. And with the counsel of your father. I mean, the power there, as I look at it right now today, I know of no company that could stand on two legs the way this company can. And I cannot take credit for that. It's given to people that came before us.
Right.
Thousands of years before
us.
us.
We stand on the shoulders of
We
countless
really do.
scientists and countless years of research. But now, so really your goal was, tweak some business practices and shine the labels up and a few things like this.
Exactly.
A little slicker catalog and more aggressive marketing, etc. But that wasn't good enough for you, was it?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. That'd have been too simple, right?
No, really. We saw the company double every year that we took over for the last 5-6 years. We saw the company for the first 3 years double 100% or over 100% every single year.
Which is phenomenal because who does that?
Yeah, and
Especially on a 30-year company, a company that's
Exactly.
already that old,
Exactly.
and then to turn around and so you're onto some things, but again, that wasn't good enough for you, was it?
No, it wasn't. Out of respect for our doctors, and myself being a doctor, there is a doctor's line, and there are 100 products, most of which you would never want to turn loose on a consumer. You would never want to move into a category that made them very readily available because they're so powerful, so potent, and so able to make a change in a person's health. They needed to know which of or which one, how would a person know if they need to deworm, or how would they need to know if they need to rebuild their liver versus a detoxification? How would they need to know, if their cholesterol is a problem with their liver, it's a problem with absorption, or if it's a problem with fiber? These are things that people really don't know. And so out of respect for our doctors, those 100 products are there. And those are the products that it really requires understanding as a practitioner to really be able to utilize those the way you should utilize them.
In a discretionary kind of way.
Oh, very much so.
Because these products weren't designed for health food stores. They weren't designed for the supermarket. They were designed to place in the hands of doctors that would be trained and do exactly what they intended to do.
Exactly.
So you wanted to get to the lay public.
Well, I did. I looked at it and I says, all right. I says, how is it that I can, and I want to keep the doctor line moving in the direction here, and let's give all the support and all the energy we can. But how is it that we can take some of these products and really put them in the hands of mothers? Do you want to be honest? It was mothers. My practice was probably 90% female. And if a male came in, a husband came in, or a son, or whatever the case was, the mother is the one that made the appointment. So the bottom line being is that I really wanted to empower people, because they're the ones that had the responsibility, but empower these mothers or these families with the tools that really make a difference in their health.
So let me guess, you decided that maybe starting a whole nother company would be a good idea.
Well, I didn't necessarily want to do that. Actually, we spent a lot of money, my wife and I, going down to Las Vegas, and we did a huge booth at one of the largest natural products association meetings there. We spent probably $50,000 on a weekend.
The big annual one they have every year.
Exactly. And we thought, wow, what a great idea. And quite frankly, we were the hit of the show. We had lineup. We had people everywhere. And I left there going, oh, this is really great. Well, we're driving back to northern Utah from Las Vegas, and it just hit me that this was not the route that we were to go. I mean, we had some of the bigger retailers knocking at our door because of the success that we had at this convention or this event. And I just went, I don't think this is the way to go. So we turned around and we says, all right, what else can we do? How else can we get this in the hands of people? And we tried a couple other different ways of doing it. The bottom line, when I boiled it back, my practice was successful because of word of mouth. And we decided that it was time to build a system where we could empower people to take responsibility for their own health, give them the tools to do that, and build a system around sharing that allowed them to, even by doing that, create enough money to pay for their nutrition. Some of my families are spending $200, $250, $300 a month in nutrition. And,
Right.
but you've got families that can't do that. So you need to somehow figure a way to be able to do that.
But the key is, in essence, what you're talking about is taking the doctor out of the equation and empowering people to deal with their own health. But now you need some kind of way for them to be able to obtain information about their health so they can make intelligent choices on how you go about selecting which products for your needs. So how did you break that puzzle?
Well, one of the problems that we had was when we looked at the 100 products, and we said, look, there are 70 of these products that definitely require a lot of understanding. These 30 products over here, I think we can move these over. Let's move these over into another entity. That entity is called Veo Natural, and let's create a system around this. Now, we decided to go into network marketing primarily because it's a sharing system, and it has the ability to penetrate markets that nothing else does. I'm not big into, $1.5 million ad on the Super Bowl or whatever the case may be. So bottom line is that has the ability to put into the hands of people, as long as the product works.
Right.
You've got a good product.
Right.
You're going to get good positive word of mouth. So we did that. We moved those 30 over
But
there.
still, you have the problem of how does someone know what their needs are? How are
Well,
they? What?
True.
I may be sick, but what do I have without going to a conventional doctor
Right.
and being put on antibiotics and a whole bunch of horrible things that I don't really want? So how am I going to determine that?
Well, there's a couple ways that we're doing right now. A couple different techniques that we have. Number one, we have a questionnaire that was developed back in 1986. Your father was actually part of this questionnaire. It was a questionnaire put together specifically for the doctors. Our input, my input, nutritionist input, PBI's input, all of this together. What we did is we created a questionnaire that's very, very powerful, and that is available on our website, number one. But also,
But that's impressive. But and I'm baiting you here.
I know you are. I know,
But-
maybe I'm holding back a little bit on
Right,
this, but
but this is pretty exciting. Because we're talking about your body speaking up for itself, in essence.
right. We ran into, my father was very close friends with a doctor by the name of Dr. Von Cook, and he was involved with the company biofeedback. And there was we have adopted into this program over here what is called the Veo Compass. And what you're getting at is the fact that you have the ability to put your hand on a machine, have a computer talk to you, basically throw questions to you, just like a lie detector. It uses galvanic skin response. So a reaction that your skin has to a very specific stimulus, in this way, it's actually just a question. Digital question being sent to your skin causes a reaction and sends it back.
And we should say here that while a lot of other scientists might have been caught up in herbal medicine or developing new health modalities, etc., the field of biofeedback has really been a blooming field over the past 30, 40 years. And, we're talking major light years away from the old lie detector test, which people go back to. That's pretty much just a couple little indicators. But now, biofeedback people, it's a whole science, and they can tell a wealth of information by hooking you up to the various...
Yeah, that's true. I've been using this kind of equipment in my practice for the last 6 years. And, but at the cost. I mean, what is it? $12,000 for a doctor's unit to be able to look at this, plus a lot of education. And what Dr. Cook had done is he had actually taken this and simplified it down to a very compass, I guess is probably the best way to explain it, very simplified version. You're getting the same results. At the end of the tube basically comes the same recommendation, but it just simplifies it, makes it very available for everyone to use.
So what you're able to do with this company, and correct me if I'm misspeaking on any of it, but you developed a technique where not only are you using the biofeedback, but then you guys were able to develop software to go with it So it can take that feedback and it can come up with a series of indicators, triggers, is that what we call them? That's telling you that here's these different things that are out of whack, and then the software that you have marries that biofeedback kind of technology of what your body is telling you is wrong, and then it marries that to the various formulas, and it says this particular formula will correct this number of indicators. Am I close on this?
Close. Couple different things, couple clarifications. Number one, all that the compass is a questionnaire. It is a questionnaire. And basically it's going to run through a series of questions and come back and say, according to the results here, these are the 8, 10, 12, 15, 40 things that your body is stressed about. Now, after taking those stressor points, it takes and it actually biofeedback wise sends a digital signature of a specific product back to you and says, if I was to introduce that signature, how many of these stressor points would that support?
Okay, now we actually did this earlier this morning.
Correct.
And on myself, and it came up with 45 stressor points. Life's been hard.
Is that yeah? Might be an indication of what's going on. Yeah.
Now, how do I place? If I have 45, am I like, most people only have 20, and I need to see a surgeon really quick?
Well, here's the way to look at it. Okay. If I was doing an interview, and I was to ask you, Larry, if I said I've got 76 different questions that I'm going to ask you, all of which are crucial to your health and well-being, and of those 76 questions, you came back and flunked, so to speak, on 45 or 46 of them, you tell me.
Right.
Where would your health be? In other words, these are indicators. They're not illnesses. This is not to diagnose or to treat something. All it is just an indicator as to what's going on stress-wise in a person's life, and introducing what is designed to balance and give support to that body.
For that particular thing.
Correct.
Now,
powerful stuff.
I think it's just absolutely brilliant because, biofeedback, I have been exposed to some of that, and I have seen that it, as a diagnostic tool, more than just telling whether or not someone's lying, it goes way, way, way beyond that. And it's used in psychotherapy and all kinds of things. But as a medical diagnostic tool, it's really just now coming into its own. And for how long did this test take this morning?
Well,
5 minutes?
Yeah, not even that. More like 3. So it was very...
So it identifies 45 stressors, and then the second part of the software kicks in where it's saying, look, here's this formula that will address 20 of those. Here's this one that'll do 12. Here's this one that'll do 7, etc. You can kind of get narrowed in on which of your products. So what we're talking about
even better. I mean, you look at most questionnaires out there, and what they're doing is they're saying, if this is yes, this equals this product. If this is yes, this equals this product. That's really not what's going on here. This is saying we've got a set of stressors, whatever they are. We know their numbers. Let's introduce the products and find out what the body says this product is going to resolve. If this product is going to be a support to this right here, and this is 42 out points, and it's nailing these questions. Right. In other words, that one product may resolve 10, 15, 20 different out points. But it's not just like you answered yes to this, that means go to this, this specific product.
Right.
So it's not a dot to dot.
Right.
When you're dealing with this biofeedback stuff, it can be totally off the wall different. And that's why it's almost crystal ballish, so to speak, and taking a look at what a person really needs. Because their body's telling us, not us logistically what.
And this is a science that's still growing because, this is really going to be the future. When you go to see your doctor in 50 years or whatever, you're just going to stick your hand in there and it's going to come out and tell them everything. Exactly.
Started with Star Trek. Remember that?
Right. That's the kind of technology you're talking about.
Yeah.
But now, what this does is this takes the power right out of the doctor's hands and puts it right into either a patient themselves, a consumer, an endpoint consumer, that's someone trying to deal with their health, or a distributor that's carrying the Veo line of products that can help people be clarified exactly what it is they need and what products. And a lot of people, and I know I've done this in the past myself when I was first getting into a lot of natural health products, is go to the health food store and someone says grab this, and you're pulling things off the shelf. But this actually puts some science and takes it out of the doctor having to make these determinations, and a layperson with this software and this sensor can actually do some zeroing in. We're not talking scientific diagnosis here.
Truth to that, but you got to understand that that's a yes and a no on what you're saying here. In truth, yes. If I was to sit back and have to go to my doctor to say, oh, by the way, and listen to his recommendation, you need to take more vitamin D, and he wasn't into vitamin D, now I may never get that recommendation, but it may be something that my body needs. So the responsibility for a person's health really is on their lap. But, and this is the yes and no on that, understand that there is a place for the doctor, there is a place for a physician, there is a time when that is what's needed. So to take all of it out of their hands, no. But to take responsibility, specifically nutritionally, to make a change in a person's life, that's always going to be on the
We're not replacing emergency rooms with this.
You got it. Oh, there's,
if you break your arm, you don't want to use this machine to try and fix it. But
well, there's a lot of times that even in my practice that I'll have, there's people will go out. The average person will spend $125 to $150 themselves on nutrition, and they're usually buying it off some sort of ad on TV or reading in the latest magazine that just came in, or going to the mall and looking at the walls in some of the superfood places and trying to figure out what to take. They're spending it, but the quality of what they're getting, number one, and number two, knowing exactly what to take is very, very important. But that really is their responsibility. Right. And that's where we really wanted to give all the tools needed to make a huge difference. To step into the place of the doctor, it's a different realm, even because of our doctor's Professional Botanicals line. Understand it's in a different envelope. But the bottom line being is this right here is a person's responsibility, and for heaven's sakes, never should they wait for their doctor to say, eat nutrition. Right. eat good. Eat organic food. Take your vitamins. Take your minerals. There's specific plants that'll help you to live better.
Put the hamburger down.
Yeah, I would not wait for my doctor to tell me that. I would take that responsibility on myself, just as a person. Right. So.
I wanted to ask you where you came up with the name of your company, Veo, V-E-O.
Veo Natural.
Veo Natural.
Yes. Ashley Veo, I speak Spanish, my wife speaks Spanish, and both of us have kind of a... Veo is a word that means I see. That's what it literally transfers, as far as translation. I see. And lately, it's really interesting, we had come up with this name. We said, really, it's just about seeing something natural. I see life naturally. I see this, I understand, and I commit to this naturally. That's kind of the viewpoint that we took. And it translates to almost every Latin language out there, the same type of meaning. And right after that came out, all of a sudden Hollywood, we had made this decision. All of a sudden Hollywood comes out with a movie about avatars, where they're basically swinging through the jungle, and here comes man, and man comes in there and is destroying the whole thing and the whole network of life and the balance between good and bad and creation and all this. And right in the middle of the movie, one of the largest things that they say is, I see. And what she was doing is she was trying to get this guy in the movie, and everyone's probably seen the movie, but she's trying to get him to realize that man is creating a problem for nature. Right. And he finally understands it, and he goes, I see. And he uses those words. And the translated version will say Veo. Veo. Because that's what it's all about. It is about getting rid of the chemicals. It is about making a shift in your life and taking responsibility for what it is that you have on your plate. There is no one that can stop you if you want to make a difference in this life and you want to make a difference in what your family is doing and what your health is all about. You need to be an unstoppable person. That's really what it is. And that responsibility to see things naturally and see what kind of footprint you leave on this earth is up to you. And that's why we came up with that name Veo. And it was just, wow. I mean, everything just kind of blossomed. And I saw this movie. I mean, I don't go to movies more than once usually, and I've been to Veo, or I've been to Avatar, 3 times. I'll give a little plug for the movie. It's just I loved it. And it was because it fit my viewpoint of nature.
Right.
There you have it.
Well, Dr. Millet, it's obvious that you have unlimited enthusiasm because you are on something that is incredibly exciting. And what's exciting to me, just to put a cap on this, is that all of this is just one of the outreaches of the outgrowth of what World Life was really developed to be about, over 50 years ago. We're 53 years old now, World Life is, and it does my heart good that here this company your father built, you're taking that and now you're going another direction with it as well. But all of this is taking, again, the marriage of traditional herbal medicine, Chinese medicine, and the scientific Western research and moving it forward in a way that is empowering human beings to not only cure what's ailing them, but to prevent things and to maintain optimal health. And this is right there what the heart, it's all about for you. It's what World Life's been all about. It's what my father dedicated his life to. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for coming and visiting us here at World Life. It's been a pleasure to meet you. I've worked with your dad now for 30 years. And so it's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for being part of it.
Likewise, I want to thank you. And I wish your dad was here too. I'd say thank you to him.
Yeah, well, we all stand on other people's shoulders, and it's, falls on, you and I are the next generation.
That's exactly right.
And we're not young kids. Neither one of us.
We have a little gray hair.
Yeah, but there's gray in there, trust me. No matter what Clairol says. But, the fact is that it's incumbent upon those of us that do care about these areas of interest to build on what our fathers did before us and to move it into the future, and that's what it's all about. And so I'm grateful that you are here, and I'm really grateful that we had this opportunity to meet with your father and you today, and it's been a wonderful experience. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you again.
And thank you for tuning in today, whoever you are out there. And Chuck, it's been great. Chuck.
Allan, it's been great.
Allan, it's been great.
Edit.